The First Lady isn't free to do as she pleases. There are certain rules she must follow to keep with tradition and stay in public favor. As glamorous as the position may seem to you now, you may think otherwise after seeing all the weird rules the First Lady is forced to follow. First Ladies have the daunting job of decorating the White House once they move in. However, they can only add personal touches to the spaces in which they live, mainly the second and third floors of the house. Historic rooms, like the Lincoln Room, are untouchable. Kate Anderson Brower, who wrote First Women, The Grace and Power of America's Modern First Ladies, explained it to ABC News this way: "Some parts are essentially historic rooms and belong to the American people, not to the families who live there. First Ladies also have to keep up with what needs to be refurbished in the public spaces of the White House. If the President or First Lady wants to make changes to the public rooms, approval is needed from the Committee for the Preservation of the White House."
Isn't that the famous Gilbert Stuart portrait of George Washington?
That's right. That's the oldest thing in the White House.
An amazing perk of decorating the White House is access to the confidential warehouse full of past White House furniture. The First Lady can choose from the storehouse, and she can also hire an interior designer to help her pick out new furniture and decor. You'd think that gifts given to the President and First Lady would be theirs to keep. The truth is that presents from foreign governments belong to the United States, according to the Congressional Research Service. The National Archives and Records Administration keeps the gift, and it later goes to a presidential library. If the President or First Lady wants to keep the gift, they can purchase it. As the publication detailed, Nancy and Ronald Reagan were gifted 2 live eagles from the German Chancellor in the 1970s. The Reagans also received a horse from Mexican President José López Portillo. Those gifts may have been a little trickier to store. There is an exception to this rule, though. The First Lady is allowed to accept domestic gifts, according to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. The First Lady can do what she pleases with these gifts, and she doesn't have to pay for them in order to keep them. Nevertheless, these presents go through significant security screenings before reaching the President's wife. Nothing is simple when you're the First Lady. Michelle Obama admitted to Oprah Winfrey in an interview that in the White House you can't open a window, as she recalled.
Sasha opened her window once. There were calls. Shut the window! It never opened again.
Sounds intense. Security is always taken very seriously, and that extends to something as seemingly small as opening a window, even in a car. Michelle Obama told Stephen Colbert on Late Show about this strict rule and how hard it is to get exceptions to it. Isn't the First Lady supposed to be powerful?
One day, as a treat, my lead agent let me have the windows open on the way to Camp David.
After visiting Melania Trump, French First Lady Brigitte Macron told Le Monde she can't even open a window at the White House. She can't go outside. She's much more constrained than I am. I go out every day in Paris. As if we needed a reminder that life in Paris is a dream. Even our First Ladies would apparently have it better there. Basically, everyone who celebrates Christmas aspires to have a Pinterest-worthy Christmas tree, but the First Lady has a whole other level of pressure on her to make her trees beautiful. First Lady Jackie Kennedy started the tradition of themed Christmas trees in the Blue Room at the White House. In 1961, she decorated a tree with a Nutcracker theme, according to the White House Historical Association. Barbara Bush also went with a Nutcracker theme in 1990. Following in her footsteps, Hillary Clinton chose to decorate her tree based on 'Twas the Night Before Christmas in 1995. In 2010, Michelle Obama opted for a Gift of the American Spirit theme. Melania Trump chose the theme The Spirit of America for Christmas 2019. This theme included 2 pink and gold trees as a tribute to past First Ladies. The Christmas tree in the Blue Room isn't the only Christmas decoration in the White House. Mamie Eisenhower was extra. She had 26 trees up while she was there. Her record was beat by Hillary Clinton, who had 37 trees put up. Melania Trump went further still and put up 41 trees along with smaller topiary trees. Gifts are usually given to the First Lady when a foreign government visits the White House. In honor of these foreign friends, a state dinner is also held. The First Lady is the hostess of this dinner. According to the White House Historical Association, the First Lady and her staff are responsible for the elaborate planning and attention behind the glitter and ceremony of the state dinner. These formal dinners involve the creation of invitations and guest lists, menus, flowers, table settings, seating arrangements, and entertainment for the evening. Luckily for the First Lady, she has chefs on hand to make the food. According to the White House Museum, First Lady Mamie Eisenhower liked to choose the menu for dinners. Some First Ladies, like Pat Nixon, were more hands-off. In 2012, Michelle Obama also started a kids' state dinner. Children from every state were invited to showcase healthy recipes they created, and the winning dishes were served. At the second annual kids' state dinner, then First Lady Michelle Obama told attendees, "This is what it's like to be a part of an official state dinner. We mirrored it exactly to what people experience when we host world leaders here." A First Lady's job is never done. As the National Museum of American History says, First Ladies are, quote, hostesses for the nation and the presidential administrations. As part of her responsibilities as the nation's premier hostess, she is expected to plan a fun event for kids at the White House every year, the Easter egg roll. The White House website describes the First Lady's role at the event, saying, "The planning of the egg roll traditionally falls on First Ladies, each incorporating her own tastes and interests to the event." The site goes on to give examples. First Lady Lou Hoover had part of the South Lawn roped off for folk dancing. First Lady Pat Nixon introduced the traditional egg roll races. In 1981, Nancy Reagan started the tradition of giving children wooden Easter eggs. These eggs had signatures from famous people scrawled across them. Reagan's plans for her Easter egg rolls also included balloons from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and Broadway show performances. Every year, celebrities and journalists attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's usually hosted by a comedian, and the president makes some jokes of his own as well, as Barack Obama demonstrated in 2016. The dinner is held by the White House Correspondents Association, which describes the purpose behind the event as a way to, quote, salute the First Amendment and honor award-winning journalism.
You know, there's a term for guys like President Obama. Probably not 2 terms, but there is.
The association's website goes on to explain that dinner is traditionally attended by both the president and his wife, the First Lady. The first dinner was held in 1921, though the first president to attend one, Calvin Coolidge, only showed up in 1924. According to ABC News, it was in the 1980s that the dinner started to include big-name celebrities and after-parties. Despite attendance being considered pretty much mandatory, First Lady Melania Trump and President Donald Trump have broken this unspoken rule and never attended the event while in office. Weeks before the newly elected president and his family move into the White House, the First Lady-to-be meets the current First Lady, according to Kate Anderson Brower, author of First Women, The Grace and Power of America's Modern First Ladies. The women get together for a personal tour of the White House, and the author notes that these meetings are often tense. Betty Ford said it this way, "No matter who follows you, you know they didn't deserve to be there." Ouch. Not every interaction between First Ladies has been negative, though. According to Brower, Barbara Bush showed Hillary Clinton a window in the White House that overlooks the Rose Garden and the Oval Office. Clinton then showed it to Laura Bush on her tour. Laura Bush continued the tradition years later for Michelle Obama. Choosing a social cause is among the most well-known tasks that tradition assigns to the First Lady. She finds a cause that she is passionate about and uses it to help the public. The National Women's History Museum revealed that First Lady Dolly Madison started this tradition back in the 1800s. She supported charities that helped orphans. Since then, First Ladies have found causes to promote. Usually, these causes focus on helping the nation's children. Eleanor Roosevelt also defined this role for the First Lady by being the first one to have press conferences and her own staff. In more recent years, Michelle Obama created the Let's Move initiative to encourage kids to be active. Her initiative taught children about healthy eating and exercise. Obama also started Let Girls Learn to fight for education for teen girls around the world. First Lady Melania Trump named her initiative Be Best. Her focus is on helping children use social media wisely and live healthily. She also aims to help families impacted by the opioid crisis. The First Lady is really the ultimate influencer, and advocating for causes is one of the best ways she can use her influential power. Being the First Lady means you get everything for free, right? Actually, the president and his family have to pay for personal expenses, according to CNN. This includes food and clothing. The First Lady actually receives an itemized bill in the middle of every month. Nancy Reagan was caught off guard by this practice. She is quoted as saying, "Nobody had told us that the president and his wife are charged for every meal, as well as for such incidentals as dry cleaning, toothpaste, and other toiletries." ABC News reported that Hillary Clinton said she struggled financially after living in the White House, claiming to the news outlet, "We came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt." Clinton partially attributed the family's money problems to a variety of legal fees. In a 2015 interview with Stephen Colbert, the comedian asked Michelle Obama what she wanted to do after leaving the White House, and her answer was clear.
"I'm sorry.
I want to go to Target.
I'm sorry, Madam First Lady."
Drive.
Even after Barack Obama was out of office, though, Michelle still couldn't drive. She told People in an interview, "No driving for me, we still live in a bubble." Hillary Clinton can relate to Michelle's woes. She told the National Automobile Dealers Association in 2014 that she hadn't driven a car since 1996. She said, "I've always enjoyed stories about cars and adventures, and I have to confess that one of the regrets I have about my public life is that I can't drive anymore. It's just one of the sacrifices First Ladies make to stay in the spotlight." It seems like no one uses fancy china anymore, but the White House is the exception. First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln started the tradition of picking out the White House china pattern in 1861. Having grown up in a family that often entertained important people, including politicians, the First Lady considered formal dining important. First Lady Caroline Harrison enjoyed painting china as a hobby, and in 1879, First Lady Lucy Hayes worked with an artist to create unique china in different shapes and painted with flowers. The pieces look more like art than dinnerware, which was criticized by some art critics of the time. First Lady Ida McKinley was the first lady who started the custom of displaying past White House china in the White House, whereas Edith Roosevelt had a special cabinet made to store the china. There is now a whole room to house the china. Mamie Eisenhower supervised its completion back in the 1950s. She made sure that china from every president's term was included. The First Lady is often seen as a fashion icon, but it can be a pricey role to play. Laura Bush wrote in her memoir, "I was amazed by the sheer number of designer clothes that I was expected to buy, like the women before me, to meet the fashion expectations for a First Lady." The First Lady is required to pay for her designer gowns unless she donates them after one wear. First Lady Nancy Reagan caused lots of controversy when she broke this rule by accepting and keeping designer gowns without paying for them. She later decided to donate some to museums, but continued to receive designer clothes as loans. Michelle Obama's press secretary told the Associated Press that the former First Lady was often given clothes by designers as a donation to wear for official government events, but clothes are then given to the National Archives to keep. It can't be easy to part with all the stuff, but no one ever said being First Lady was a free ride. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite American traditions are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.